And in reading the PSI reports, there were so many times that you could have just pulled back.
I did not understand. You know what I mean? I really did. If I had a better understanding, I would have been honest.
This case centers on Cullen O'Neill, a young defendant facing serious charges with a potential sentence capped at 8 years. What makes this hearing critical is the battle between the defense presenting character witnesses and the state arguing a pattern of risky behavior.
All right, court is calling 2025 CR 009749, State versus Cullen Spencer O'Neill. Can I have parties annexed?
Magdalene Brown for the state.
Brian Kimbrough for Mr. O'Neill.
All right, and are you Mr. O'Neill?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, according to your plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 8 years in the prison. The state is opposed to your applications. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report?
No, Judge.
No, Judge.
All right, state, you're opposed. Do you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge.
Defense, any witnesses?
Yes, we have some witnesses. Your Honor.
All right, call your first witness.
Before I do, Your Honor, I have some letters that I wanted to present the court on his behalf, and I believe, and I did give a copy to the state, and I believe they were opposed to my doing so. So I wanted to give them an opportunity to speak to that.
All right, any objections to the court reviewing the letters?
Yes, Judge, I'm gonna oppose their hearsay. I can't cross-examine the witnesses on those statements, and I don't believe they're sworn statements either, so I'm gonna object to them.
Well, Your Honor, I've produced, these have nothing to do with the incident. They're only about the character and the information about the defendant. I think it's part of the court's duty.
Okay, so with regards to whether they're hearsay or not, the court needs to review it to see if it is hearsay. And then
You can rule.
if the court determines it is hearsay, then the court can always disregard. All right, with regards to the state's objections to the court reviewing the letters that have been tendered by the defense, the court understands your objections. The court is going to overrule those objections. The court will take these into consideration in sentencing.
Would
All
you
right.
like to have a copy so they can review them?
Oh, I've reviewed it.
You-
Yes,
Okay.
I read very fast.
Very fast. Thank you.
All right, call your first witness.
Your Honor, I would first call Tammy O'Neill.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Tammy Hollis O'Neill.
All right, counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And what is your relationship with Cullen?
Yes, I'm his mother.
And could you tell me a little bit, was Cullen raised in San Antonio?
He was raised in
Okay.
San Antonio, born in Japan, but came here shortly after that because his late father was in the military,
And how long was his father in the military?
24 years,
What branch was he in?
Air Force.
Are you also in the military?
No, sir, I'm not. I work as a civil servant, but not now because I'm furloughed.
Because the government is
Yes,
shut
that is
currently
correct.
shut down.
That is correct.
For the Air Force?
I do work for the Department of Defense. That's correct. Air Force. Yes, at the Air Force Civil Engineers Center.
So Cullen's father passed away 7 years ago, correct?
Yes, sir.
And
2018.
how did that, from your perspective, and was Cullen living with you at the time?
Yes, sir, he was.
And how did this affect him? The death of
Hugely,
his father?
hugely. It affected all of the kids, right? My daughter as well, but I think it struck Cullen much harder, right? Because of that father figure that he had in his life. And also that father figure to hold him accountable.
And how many siblings and other members of the family did he grow up with?
Yes, he has a younger sister who's not here to testify today, ma'am. One of the letters was from her. She's full-time in college and couldn't come. And then he has a stepsister as well.
And could you describe his upbringing, his childhood? Was it normal? Was it good?
Yes, sir. It was good. I would say it was good. He got everything he wanted, you know what I mean? One of those. And I did the best to raise him, with my husband. And then as a single mom after my husband passed away.
Did Cullen go to school?
He did. He graduated. He's got a
Okay.
diploma.
He's got a diploma. He didn't get a GED, right?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
He
but
did.
He did.
He struggled a lot in school with ADHD and also yes, so he has struggled with that throughout his life since he's been little, right? Hard to concentrate, anxiety, right?
And has he been employed, generally speaking, since he got out of high school?
Yes, sir, he has. He has.
Has he always sought employment?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, has Cullen ever been convicted of anything, any crimes in his
No,
life?
sir. No, sir. This is so outside of his character. And I have never witnessed this type of behavior in him.
Okay.
Which is why this is so shocking. I've had so many conversations with him and I think he regrets what happened, right? I feel like from his personality, this is just not something he typically would have done. And I feel like that it was a mistake. He just made a poor decision, a very poor decision.
And he's always lived at home, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so you've gotten to know his friends.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And would you say, based on your knowledge and your observation, are his friendships appropriate age-wise?
Yes, sir. I've never seen anyone under legal age at my house. That's another thing I think that my daughter wrote in her letter, that even when I'm not there, she didn't witness that either as well. His relationships have always been with people of age, which is why this incident was so outside of his normal character.
And has he had friendships that were long-standing? In other words, friends that he's had for many years?
Oh, yes, yes. He has friends that he went to kindergarten with, right? And one is here today, actually, so.
Now, you know that we're here to ask the judge to place Cullen on community supervision.
Yes,
For
sir.
adjudication.
Yes.
You think that he could succeed on community supervision?
Yes, sir, I do. I do. I very much do. I think that he needs that discipline, right? Of being able to check in continually. He's been on an ankle monitor for the last year and a half and has done that very successfully, right? To be able to check in and be accountable to that. I think that he can give back to society by working and doing other things while he was on probation versus if he was incarcerated.
And that's fine. Pass the witness.
All right, any questions?
No questions, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
All right, can you raise your right hand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Deborah Higgins.
All right, counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you. And Ms. Higgins, you go by DJ, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. What's your relationship with Cullen? How long have you known him?
I'm a family friend of approximately 14 years.
Do you remember how you first met the family?
I worked with Cullen's mom.
Okay. Was that in the Department of Defense
Yes.
area?
Yes.
Are you still working there?
No, sir, I retired July 25th this year.
And in the course of working with his mother, did you get to know Cullen a little bit?
Yes, I would go to their house for holidays and dinners and cookouts and whatnot.
What did you observe about Cullen during your period of knowing him?
He's a good kid. He was raised well. I watched how him and his sister were raised. They were raised well. They did well.
Did you have occasion to see him with other young people?
I met one or two of his friends when we were all at the house. They're good kids.
And did you ever hear about anything that he might have done other than this incident that raised concerns for you?
No.
And you also work in pet safety or something?
Animal rescue.
Animal rescue.
Yes.
So you observed what happened today and you were
Yes.
familiar with it.
Yes.
So you do not condone bad behavior?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
Right is right and wrong is wrong.
you're hardcore on that.
Very.
Okay. And you know that what Cullen did was wrong.
Yes,
In spite of that, do you think that he could succeed on community supervision? If the judge would give him that?
with structure, accountability and discipline and having to stay focused on that thing, yes, I do. I think he would do very well with that.
And do you think that would be a better outcome than sending him to prison?
I do.
Why is that?
There's prison structure and there's, I don't know the right legal term, but probation structure. And I think him being employed, being forced to do the right thing every single day in a more open environment would be more beneficial to him to grow as a young man.
Pass the witness.
Any questions? All right, if you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
I'm Melissa Daly.
All right, just keep your voice up so the court reporter can hear. Defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Daly, you're acquainted with Cullen O'Neill, correct? How did you know Cullen O'Neill?
I've known Cullen since he met my son practically in kindergarten. And all the groups of boys always played in the neighborhood. So I watched basically Cullen grow up since kindergarten.
Okay.
And he's always showed the utmost respect and yes, ma'am. And when I had groceries, he'd be the first to come help me take them out of the car. I had him spend the night several times. And I treated him like a son of mine. So this is totally out of character.
What is your son's name?
Daniel.
Daniel, and he is a friend and grew up with Cullen, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is Daniel here?
Yeah.
Daniel, okay. Now, would you, if you had had any issues with Cullen as far as his influence, would you have allowed Daniel to spend time with Cullen?
I hadn't had any issues with Cullen.
Right,
so,
but if you had.
Oh, of course I would. But I have not seen, Cullen's has always presented great character and integrity. And I thought when he was raised with his father hunting and having all the things that every boy would dream to have with a dad dude. And since his dad passed, it was very heartbreaking. But he had a group of friends that supported him. So he wasn't like a loner child. He had lots of friends. And that helped him get through that horrible situation during his prime time in childhood.
And do you think that that he would be a good candidate for probation, community supervision?
Yes, I do.
You think he could succeed on that?
I absolutely do think he succeeds. He's has high integrity, and this is just outside his character. This incident.
Thanks. Pass away.
Any questions?
No,
All right, thank you so much.
Cullen O'Neill?
Can you raise your right hand?
Sir.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help
Yes,
you
ma'am.
God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Cullen O'Neill?
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you. Cullen, you know why we're here?
Yes, I do. I made an egregious mistake one night. I had no sympathy for the situation I was in due to being under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And I made an honest young man mistake with my emotions and what I was trying to do. I made a horrible mistake. It's been haunting me. And I mean, I've had to deal with it for a year and a half that I've realized it and sat with it. And people have made fun of me. I've gone through it, but it's something that I know that it's not over because I made a mistake and I'm willing to take that on the chin. You know what I mean? You talk about football and LSU. I'm leaving it all on the field. You know what I mean? With what I'm trying to do to prove that I need a plea, but I made a mistake.
Okay. Now, the evening this happened, you had been using drugs, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you'd been drinking.
Yes, sir.
So you have an issue with drinking and with drugs.
Yes.
And you're willing to deal with that.
100%
Okay,
to get better.
to get better. Do you have an attraction to younger women?
No, ma'am. I mean, no, sir. I've never once ever in my life. I think it was just the influence I was in, the situation of not sleeping, being tired from work, just and my emotions, my feelings as a young man just overcame me. And I know that's horrible and I made a mistake for that.
Okay. Now, you did complete your GED, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And do you have plans and things that you want to achieve in your life?
Yes, so I was a month away from finishing college when this all happened, and I had been held back for a year and a half to even finish college. But what I was doing in college was being a gunsmith. I get with my situation now, I might need to find a different line of work, and what I've been doing as an iron worker and doing stuff outside and building buildings like Chick-fil-A's, Walmarts, and Chase Banks and stuff around the community the best I can.
Now, you were employed with an iron, what kind of a company was it? An iron?
It was an iron company. It was Hill Country Steel. We do all the main steel around all of San Antonio, Austin, and Dallas. We do every Walmart, every Chick-fil-A, every Chase Bank,
Okay.
every car wash. We provide the steel.
Well, did you start working with them when you were in high school?
Yes, right out of high school. One of the letters I gave was from the employer that I've known since right out of high school, and he helped me a lot. And he knew about my situation through house arrest and getting my job back.
Now, you're not currently working for him, right?
No, I stopped working for him because I wanted to deal with this and didn't want to interrupt their company for my mistakes.
And are you hoping to be able to get work again?
Yes, I actually have a job interview on Thursday for another steel company that was smaller that we used to provide steel with. So that's something I'm really looking forward to start doing and working.
Tell the judge why you think you could succeed on probation.
I did track, football, and baseball all throughout high school. And I work harder than most grown men that I know. And I know I messed up. And I don't want to do prison because that's just not something I know I will succeed in, unfortunately. But I know that doing the plea and being on a schedule, checking in and doing things like that will really help me a lot. Get my life back on track. I'm young. I made a horrible mistake for my age. And I know that I want to be able to recover from it and not be stuck.
Now, when this happened, understanding the situation, you do admit that you were told that the girl was 15.
Yes,
correct?
Yes,
And you also admit that when you were going to see her, it was because you were intending to have sex with her, right?
yes, I admit to that. You know what I mean? I admit to the court to take my honesty because I made a mistake.
But that's not something you have ever done.
Never thought about it, never once been around it. And I have a little sister. How could I do that to her?
Okay.
You know, like that's something that I really think about a lot and being a better image for her, especially with the situation I'm in. I want to get out of this and be better for her. And she was one of the main people that wrote a letter.
Okay. Pass the witness.
State.
A couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
You talked to probation prior to this hearing, correct? The pre-sentencing report.
Yes, ma'am.
And when they asked you about the offense, you minimized it, correct?
I was nervous to what I said. I was very nervous on what needed to be said, and I wasn't sure what to say. I've never been in a situation like this, and I've never had the thoughts that I had.
But when you spoke to probation, you did minimize what you did in this offense, correct?
I wouldn't say minimize. I told my side the best that I felt that I could, but I did make mistakes. I did say things I wasn't supposed to, and we're here in this situation because of my mistakes.
Right. And the officer didn't force you or coerce you into this situation.
I mean, it was a sting operation.
Correct, but you willingly agreed to meet this person. They didn't force you to meet them,
Yes,
correct?
after like maybe 30, 45 minutes of time had passed since they had started talking to me, yes.
And you described in great detail and graphic language exactly what sex acts you wanted to perform on this 15-year-old. Is that correct?
Yes.
Pass the witness, Coach.
Any other questions?
No, Your
All right, any other witnesses?
Honor. No, Your Honor.
All right, court will hear brief argument. State.
Judge, I'll let defense go first.
Your Honor, Cullen O'Neill, in my opinion, is a perfect candidate for probation. He checks off the boxes, so to speak. He's 22 years old.
Okay, and not to interrupt your argument, counsel, but this,
Well,
no. This is what I wanted to address, but nobody addressed it. I don't know if anybody wants to address it. And it has to do with the cocaine that's mentioned in the PSI. And I don't know if you want to address part of
Well,
that with your,
Yeah, I mean, I could ask it.
Okay.
If I could
and
recall.
I'm sorry about that. Yes, you could recall it.
Sure, sure. You had cocaine that night, correct?
Yes, it was for myself, yes.
And you were using cocaine,
Yes, I was.
and you were, as you earlier testified, you were using alcohol too.
Yes.
And you had and did this problem develop like years before?
It mainly developed a year or so before of just working hard and just trying to stay up and just trying to deal with college and deal with a full-time job. I didn't know how to overcome myself or talk to and that's just what led me down the rabbit hole right there, and I just messed up.
And you understand that when you got to the point what happened that night, you were showing, you had an alcohol and drug problem. right?
Yes, I
And you-
definitely did.
And you have it now. Correct?
I wouldn't say now. I have definitely resorted to staying off, being a lot better person just due to my probation with my ankle monitor. You know what I mean? Just in case for whatever reason they wanted to drug test me or whatever, God forbid they would do. I mean, and I have a little sister and my mom, and I don't want to keep that image. I really don't, you know? That's why I really would like, I don't mind doing drug tests, drug classes, or probation or whatever.
All right, and I just asked that because I forgot to bring it up so that could be cleared up because it was in the PSI. So sorry for the interruption.
No, you're fine.
Are there any other questions?
No more questions.
All right, I'm sorry. You may
Okay.
proceed with your argument,
Okay,
counsel.
thank you. So, and that charge was
Dismissed.
dismissed.
Yes.
Again, as I was saying, I think my main point is that Cullen is a very good candidate for probation. He has no criminal history. He is 22 years old. He has a very, very supportive family. He has friends that he's had since he was in kindergarten that are still his friends. I brought family members and I brought friends that have known him that are not related to him. All of them, including the letters that the court read from his employer and from other people that are friends that are not family. His sister did write a letter. All of them attesting to Cullen's character and their long history of knowing him. That isn't to say that what he did was not illegal and wrong. He should be punished for it. But he should, in my opinion, be punished in such a way that he is rehabilitated. This is a case where, to me, it cries out for rehabilitation, not for prison. Prison would be the opposite, in my opinion, of what should happen. Now, I know this is a crime that is extremely terrible, and there is a lot of outcry against this behavior. And I agree, it's fine. I'm not opposed to that. But in the appropriate circumstance, and I think this is one, a person that does this kind of crime can be rehabilitated and can go forward and contribute. And of all the people that I've represented for some time in the last couple of years, Cullen seems to me to be the best candidate for probation. And I'm hoping that the court will give him that opportunity. Whatever program, whatever monitoring the court feels appropriate, I'm asking the court to give him that chance.
All right, state.
Judge, I respectfully disagree with defense's view that this defendant is a great candidate for community supervision. This defendant has a pattern and throughout this case of hiding and minimizing his behavior. When he speaks with the undercover, instead of putting what he wants to do in a text message, he insists on talking. And he says those things over a voice message, so it's less traceable. He gets there, what happens, he gets arrested. He gets to this court, he pleads on this case to supposedly take responsibility. And when given that opportunity to take responsibility to the PSI officer, instead of just saying, I chose to go there that night. He says, well, she pushed me. The officer pushed me to do it. The undercover pushed me. He blames the undercover, doesn't take full accountability. And even today, he says, oh, well, the reason for that is I was scared. If his reaction to being scared, concerned, anxious, or nervous is to lie, to minimize, that is a terrible candidate for probation because he's going to keep doing it on probation. Judge, the descriptions in this report that the court has in the stipulations of what he specifically says, he's not just saying he wants to meet up and have sex with a 15-year-old. He uses graphic sexual language, graphic violent language to talk about not only physically, but sexually abusing a 15-year-old child, who he fully believes at that time is a 15-year-old child. I understand that this defendant is young. There may be some substance abuse issues. However, Judge, this is not the kind of person who I believe would be safe on our streets. I don't think he's a good candidate for probation, and I would worry about an actual child being harmed if he's let out. So I would respectfully ask the court to deny the applications for community supervision and sentence him under the plea agreement for 8 years.
All right. So, Mr. O'Neill, I want you to know that I heard everything from all of the witnesses. I reviewed the PSI. I've internalized everything. I've read the chat messages that was sent to someone you thought was 15.
I messed up.
Yeah.
I messed up, Judge.
All right. Oh, it's okay if he says something.
I mean, I'm upset about this, you know what I mean? Like, it's just my life, you know? And I mean, I just want to fix it the best way I can.
All right. And I want you to know I'm taking in consideration your age. And I do understand that sometimes people will do things, they're intoxicated, be it through drugs or alcohol. However, in reading the stipulations and in reading the PSI reports, there were so many times that you could have just pulled back.
I did not understand, you know what I mean? I really did. If I had a better understanding, I would have been honest, like I have been today.
No. I'm not even, here's the thing. This is what I understand. When probation officers are interviewing you for a PSI report, there are a lot of things going through your head, right? You don't want to say anything that could hurt you. Sometimes defense attorney, I was a defense attorney, and let me just tell you what I would tell my clients. I would tell them, for the love of all that's holy, just say, my attorney told me not to speak about it, right? And then sometimes I would have clients, I'm like, go ahead, tell them. So I will tell you what is in the PSI. I'm not holding that against you because sometimes when people are faced with legal decisions, sometimes they get nervous. Sometimes you have a lot of voices in your head. What would my attorney say? I understand all of that. So I'm not holding that against you that maybe you said something that could be considered you're not taking responsibility. So I want you to know that.
Yes, ma'am.
What I'm talking about is the offense. And it's like, there's so many points along the way that you could have stopped. Like,
I
not
agree.
drive over there,
Yes,
not go to the hotel,
I agree.
not go up to the hotel room.
I completely agree. And that's something that I've talked to myself and my mom and my family about and my friends about why I even did it. Because in no right state of mind ever have I ever thought that way or been in a situation like that. I crashed out. And I didn't know what sympathy was for the like the situation I was in. I really didn't. And I was young, I was sleep deprived, I was off drugs and alcohol, and I really did not mean to make that decision. And that's not who I am as a person. I've never lied to my mom or people about my situation. I've always been honest when they asked, especially how I got my job back. I had to sit there in front of a bunch of grown people and explain what happened.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's something I can't be unhonest about it because look how it looks on a piece of paper. You know, no matter what I said, no matter what I did, it's what's shown. And I mean, that's what's here today in front of us. Like, and I made a mistake, but I don't believe that I deserve prison because I want to be rehabilitated. I know I can work through what the plea says. I know my punishment isn't over. It'll be at least 10 years that I'll have to deal with whatever the plea requires. And I know that.
All right, so this is what the court is going to do. The court is going to find you guilty The court is going to order chapter 62 compliance. There's a $3,000 fine, time and money to run concurrently. The court will sentence you to 3 years in the prison to give you credit for any time served. Did you review the trial court certification of defendants' rights to appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over that, what that is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
So 3 years?
Yes. But like,
Well, I have,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You talk to him?
Yes, Sharon, but I have another thing I'd like to raise.
Yes.
This is not a 3G off. And
No,
so I will.
I didn't-
Did the court retain jurisdiction?
I'll consider it. I'll tell you what, you can file whatever you want to file, and then the state, you can, make whatever arguments you
May I-
want to make, counsel.
excuse me, may I hug my mom?
No, you'll have to talk to the deputies. They're in charge of security.
After hearing from multiple character witnesses, family members, and the defendant himself, the court weighs a complex picture: no prior criminal history, strong community support, but a serious underlying offense. The defense argues this is a case for rehabilitation, while the state warns of risk and accountability concerns. In the end, the judge must balance second chances against public safety, leading to a final sentencing decision that will shape the defendant's future.
All right, we're back on the record in 2025 CR 001454, State versus Dejanay Miller, Havana. Can I have parties re-announced, please?
Megan Gowrie for state.
Jody Sawyer's the defense.
All right, is there any other evidence to be presented by either side?
And not by the defense.
All right, court will hear brief argument.
Thank you. Your Honor, first off,
Yes.
Did y'all reserve, then you look at.
All right. Go for it.
first off, we're not condoning the behavior, but I think we need to keep it in perspective. I understand that a video caused sensational backlash, but the reality is there's no visible injuries to the dog. The dog was not physically maimed in any way. And when you think about that, in our justice system, we don't really honor an eye for an eye.
Mhm.
But in this case, probably the more appropriate punishment, in addition to having been humiliated socially. And that is a huge thing. This has been a very difficult situation for her to live through, being threatened and all of that. But, it's a flaccid leash. And when I went to high school, they did corporate punishment. I don't see, if this is so egregious, then the punishment really should match the crime and have her ordered to be struck 17 times with the same leash that she struck the dog with. That's more appropriate. But I disagree with the fact that the state is asking for a jail sanction here. This young lady has no prior criminal history. She got straight A's. She is employed. And again, like I said, neither she nor I are condoning her behavior. She's taking responsibility for it, but it needs to be kept in perspective. In regards to her being a first-time offender, no rehabilitation or mental health has been given to her at this stage. So I believe that would be appropriate. I am asking the court to consider the fact that torture, while the court has found that it is sufficiently met, the elements sufficiently met here, there is no lesser included, and it doesn't even require bodily injury. So on the scale of this particular type of offense and the things that we see in our practice, you and I have, I think, been doing this for over 20 years. We have seen egregious cases that fall on the scale that are very offensive. And while this is not something that we condone, I do not think it falls on the extreme of this type of offense, even if the court believes the elements were met. I am asking the court to grant her deferred adjudication, give her the ability to prove herself. I believe that with no prior criminal history, we shouldn't jump into any kind of jail time or prison time for that matter. And
I'm asking that the court order anger management and all the things that the pre-sentence investigation we're talking about, with the exception of a jail sanction. I also want to point out that in the pre-sentence investigation, she stated that the way that she was raised was discipline was love. It was synonymous, that if you weren't disciplined, you weren't loved. And I'm not saying that, again, no one's trying to excuse the behavior, but I think that's an educational thing. She was treated the same way growing up, and it's something that we do need as a society address. And some of maybe the way we see things, and maybe even the way that society sees things and does things openly, and does it and is condoning openly to animals. Like, for instance, shock collars that are sold. There's things that our society accepts, and while I'm not saying that what she did is acceptable, I just don't think it rises to the level of being as egregious as it may have appear on the video, based off of the actual result. And I believe this is a result-oriented crime. And so we're asking the court to give community deferred adjudication. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Your Honor, state is asking for community supervision with the 80-day jail sanction based on the fact this is an egregious act. Thanos was a 3-month-old puppy that was defenseless, and although he's not verbal, cannot speak with words, that video speaks for itself. He was yelping in pain as she struck him what appeared to be 17 times while muzzling his mouth, presumably to keep him from making sound. Ms. Miller testified here today that it was cold outside and he initially was outside for leash training. When she came into the presence of officers, she told them he was outside because he had soiled in his kennel. She told you today in court that he was out there with blankets, but as you can see in the videos, that's not the case. She initially lied to officers during the welfare check. She said nothing was wrong and that others had dogs in the unit, knowing full well that she had just struck Thanos and that the officers were aware of the fact that she had done that because they saw the video prior to making contact with her. Her acts were callous. He was muzzled and she struck him. He got away and she continued to hit him. Defense would have the court believe that not all 17 blows were to Thanos, and she mentioned the pop-up kennel. However, in the video, you can see that pop-up temporary kennel wasn't moving as if she was hitting that kennel instead of the dog. She then agreed to sell the dog to Miss Rubio. First, the price was $300, then it went up and up again once she realized that it would be an inconvenience for her to not break even. And I would assert inconvenience would be a theme here today. Miss Miller states that she cannot do a jail sanction because it would be an inconvenience to work. It would be an inconvenience to her life, but that inconvenience should have been thought of prior to even getting a dog for ownership. She testified that unfortunately her father passed away in 2023, but this incident would occur a year and 6 months later approximately. Pet ownership is very important. Judge, we need to afford animals that cannot speak for themselves and all things that can't speak for themselves great protection. And so we would ask that you do community supervision, even in transport with Officer Park. She was making light of the situation, stating she would remember that song for the rest of her life. But I would urge this court to show Miss Miller that she shouldn't remember the song that was playing during transport, but rather she should remember the cries of Thanos while she was beating him 17 times. Because of this, Judge, we would ask that you consider the totality of the evidence presented to you and sentence her to community supervision for 10 years, as well as allowing no pets, anger management, the pause course, and 108 days of jail.
All right. So this is what I'm going to tell you. When I have cases before me, I look at each case individually, right? Because somebody will come before me, and I've had people argue before me. Oh, there's somebody who had an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon where they shot somebody, they got probation, didn't get jail time. So I always try to remind people that each case is different. That's why I look at cases individually. I don't try to figure out, oh, this is what happened in this case, or this is what happened in this case. I just have to deal with the facts that are before me, right? And I understand everything that your attorney said. I understand that you don't have any criminal history. I'm going to give you a choice. Sometimes I can give people choices, sometimes I can't. But these are your only choices, and I'm going to give you a chance to discuss it with your attorney before you decide. All right? So here's your choice. One, I will either give you deferred adjudication, and I will give you deferred adjudication. I don't think 10 years deferred. I'll give you 8 years deferred adjudication, or with that deferred adjudication, you're going to do some jail time, or you will have a conviction and I won't give you any jail time, because sometimes, well, not sometimes, really all of the time, cases are about rehabilitation, but there's a form of punishment in it. So your only choices are, I'll give you deferred adjudication, but you'll do some jail time as a condition, or either you'll have a conviction and you won't have any jail time as a condition. I'll give you a chance to discuss that with your attorney.
Yeah.
All right, the court is back on the record. And 2025 CR 01454 State versus Havana Miller. The parties please re-announce.
Lauren Espinoza for the state.
Jody Sawyers for the defense.
All right, have you had a chance to speak with your attorney? And which do you prefer?
She would take the probation, the conviction.
All right. All right, so the court will find you guilty. The court will sentence you to 10 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 8 years. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. There's to be regular random UAs. Proof of employment within 30 days or full-time study within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. 150 hours of community service restitution. There's to be anger management. And I'm sorry, what is the class involving animals?
Pause.
All right, the pause class. There's to be no pet ownership. Now, what do I mean about no pet ownership? Not a pet, not a single pet, not even a goldfish. Do you understand?
Yes.
There's going to be field visits 1 time per month until further notice. The MRT. There's a $2,000 fine. That will be probated. Probation. Is there anything else? All right, is there anything else you need from the court to be successful on probation?
I would like clarification on how do I prove my work in my school?
Oh, probation will go over that with you. All right. Anything else? Anything?
Not this time.
Okay. Anything else from the state?
Nothing.
All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Here, it's this.
Yes.
All right, this is a plea bargaining agreement. You do have a limited right to appeal. That right to appeal is as it relates to any pretrial motions that were filed and ruled upon. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what that is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. Animals are helpless, right? And they depend on you to provide for them. And if you don't have the patience to have a pet, then guess what? You shouldn't have a pet. The end of story, because they depend on you for food and everything. And maybe people shouldn't be beating horses as they run around the track at full speed. I don't watch it, right? But our society doesn't equate racing a horse around the track with pets, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Bullfighting, should there be bullfighting? But they don't equate that with pets. Maybe one day they will, but for now they don't. And so you're not allowed to have any pets. And you're not allowed to babysit children. You're not allowed to do any of that. Do you understand?
I
All right, there is a pause. Are you babysitting?
I have nieces and nephews and I've never done anything to them.
No, you're not allowed to babysit. And let me just explain to you why I'm saying that. Because your patience with your pet, you lost it. And at this point in time, you cannot babysit children at all. You understand?
Is that just during probation? Or
Yeah, I mean, I can only order what I can order and no gum chewing. I can only order what I can order while you're on probation. So for these 8 years, yeah, no babysitting. Okay?
I do have a question, I'm sorry.
Yes.
If I don't plan on it, but 8 years, I'll be almost 30. If I wind up pregnant or have my own child at that time, what was, what's the
you-
difference?
Here's my thing. I always tell people, let's not cross bridges until they're built.
No, it was just a
Yeah.
question.
No, that's what I'm saying. I can't see in the future. I don't know how you're gonna be doing on probation.
Right, but would I be like in violation?
What she's saying at this point is she's gonna.
Just don't
bring
let
it
it
and label it. If it becomes an issue, we will.
And your attorney can approach that on, because you can see there are many circumstances where you're telling me that. And then maybe it wouldn't be appropriate, but then if it wasn't appropriate, Child Protective Services would probably be involved, right?
Okay.
So I can't look into the future and see how you're gonna do, but what I can tell you is we'll cross that bridge if we come to it, all right?
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Honor.
You're welcome. All right, the court is back on the record. And 2025 CR 01454 State versus Havana Miller. The parties please re-announce.
Lauren Espinoza for the state.
Jody Sawyers for the defense.
All right, have you had a chance to speak with your attorney? And which do you prefer?
She would take the probation, the conviction.
All right. All right, so the court will find you guilty. The court will sentence you to 10 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 8 years. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. There's to be regular random UAs. Proof of employment within 30 days or full-time study within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. 150 hours of community service restitution. There's to be anger management. And I'm sorry, what is the class involving animals?
Pause.
All right, the pause class. There's to be no pet ownership. Now, what do I mean about no pet ownership? Not a pet, not a single pet, not even a goldfish. Do you understand?
Yes.
There's going to be field visits 1 time per month until further notice. The MRT. There's a $2,000 fine. That will be probated. Probation. Is there anything else? All right, is there anything else you need from the court to be successful on probation?
I would like clarification on how do I prove my work in my school?
Oh, probation will go over that with you.
That's
All right. Anything else?
Or
Anything,
not this time.
anything else from the state? All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Here, it's this.
Yes.
All right, this is a plea bargain agreement. You do have a limited right to appeal. That right to appeal is as it relates to any pretrial motions that were filed and ruled upon. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what that is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. Animals are helpless, right? And they depend on you to provide for them. And if you don't have the patience to have a pet, then guess what? You shouldn't have a pet. The end of story, because They depend on you for food and everything. And maybe people shouldn't be beating horses as they run around the track at full speed. I don't watch it, right? But our society doesn't equate racing a horse around the track with pets, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Bullfighting, should there be bullfighting? But they don't equate that with pets. Maybe one day they will, but for now they don't. And so you're not allowed to have any pets. And you're not allowed to babysit children. You're not allowed to do any of that. Do you understand?
I
All right, there is a pause. Are you babysitting?
I have nieces and nephews and I've never done anything to them.
No, you're not allowed to babysit. And let me just explain to you why I'm saying that. Because your patience with your pet, you lost it. And at this point in time, you cannot babysit children at all. You understand?
Is that just during probation? Or
Yeah, I mean, I can only order what I can order and no gum chewing. I can only order what I can order while you're on probation. So for these 8 years, yeah, no babysitting. Okay?
I do have a question, I'm sorry.
Yes.
If I don't plan on it, but 8 years, I'll be almost 30. If I wind up pregnant or have my own child at that time, what was, what's the difference?
Here's my thing. I always tell people, let's not cross bridges until they're built.
No, it was just a
Yeah.
question.
No, that's what I'm saying. I can't see in the future. I don't know how you're gonna be doing on probation.
Right, but would I be like in violation?
What she's saying at this point is she's gonna
Just don't
bring it
worry.
and label it. If it becomes an issue, we'll.
And your attorney can approach that on, because you can see there are many circumstances where you're telling me that. And then maybe it wouldn't be appropriate, but then if it wasn't appropriate, Child Protective Services would probably be involved, right?
Okay.
So I can't look into the future and see how you're gonna do, but what I can tell you is we'll cross that bridge if we come to it, all right?
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court is calling 2025 CR 006-612-02, State versus Luis Antonio Ganderia Jr.
Ganderia Junior.
I can't roll my R's.
It's kind of hard.
Oh, yeah. All right. Can I have parties announced?
Megan Galloway for the state.
Renee Munoz on behalf of Mr. Ganderia.
And are you Mr. Ganderia?
Yes.
All right. Counsel, you received all discovery. Did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
Are there any applications?
No.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Ganderia, did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney?
Yes.
It tells what you're charged with. Did you review that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand it?
Yes, I did.
Counsel, do you waive the reading?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on it as presented?
We waive the punishment in instance, Your Honor.
No objection.
All right. Did you review the court admonishments with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
I did, Your Honor.
You're charged with unauthorized use of a vehicle. That's a state jail felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
I did, Your Honor.
You have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses. The state will call in the right to remain silent. Did you understand by entering this plea, you're giving up those rights?
I did.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
I did.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He has, Judge.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I do.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
That is correct, Judge.
Mr. Ganderia, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, Your Honor.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Very satisfied.
If you're not a U.S. citizen, by entering into this plea, you will be deported, denied naturalization, and re-entry. Did you understand?
Understand.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to the plea, punishment is to be assessed at 223 days in the Bear County Jail. There's $1,000 fine. They're asking that that punishment be assessed under 1244, and there are no applications. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
Defense, is that the plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, is that the plea?
It is, Your Honor.
Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in both places?
Yes, Your Honor.
By signing that, you're waiving your right to appeal. The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
No, Judge.
Then to the offense, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
State any evidence.
It offers states one in attachments.
No objection.
All right, state you may be excused. Did you review the waiver and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it
I did,
in
Your
all
Honor.
the appropriate places?
Yes,
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call, and the right to remain silent?
yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments. The court has reviewed the same. The court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
We ask that the court follow the negotiated plea bargain agreement, Judge. He has made some questionable decisions in the past, but he is going to learn from them. He assures the court this won't ever happen again,
Well,
and he's gonna make much smarter decisions in the future.
All right, the court will sentence you to 223 days in the Bear County Jail under 1244. Give you credit for any time served. There's $1,000 fine, time, and money to run concurrently. Is there anything else with regards to sentencing?
Nothing further from the defense, Judge.
All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
yes, Your Honor.
Because it's a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what that is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
All right, we can go off the record. How old are you?
I am 34.
All right, so you're old enough to know better.
I am, but
So,
I help a lot. And I'm sorry, and I helped this one person, and I should have then took her word, and I took her word, and that's why I have my cousin.
You gotta protect yourself though, right?
Yes.
mhm.
Can't be doing things that are opening yourself up to liability, and then you're the one in trouble. I don't see her here, right?
I know, and it's.
Well, wait a minute, there she is coming through the back. Yeah, no, turn around. There she is. Now, see, that's what I mean. You're out here on your own, okay?
I know.
All right, make better decisions. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Court is calling 2025 CR 011436 State versus William Wadil. Can I have parties announced for the record?
Rick Pena for the state of Texas. Albert Chidas from Mr. Wadil.
And are you Mr. Wadil?
Yes.
Did you review the application for deferred adjudication with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, have you received all discovery? Did you review it with your client?
We did, Judge.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Wadil, did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
We're proceeding on paragraph A, Your Honor. We'll waive paragraph B.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
Did you review the court admonishments with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're charged with the offense of burglary of a habitation. That's a second-degree felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you, and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call them, the right to remain silent. Did you understand by entering this plea, you're giving up those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
I'm sorry, Judge. I was
That's okay.
getting something from the DA. What was your question, Judge?
Has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He has, Judge.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
He does, Judge.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Wadil, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea?
No, Your Honor.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you're not a U.S. citizen, by entering this plea, you will be deported, denied naturalization, and re-entry into the United States. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to the plea, punishment is to be assessed at a $1,500 fine. State recommends deferred adjudication. There's to be no contact with the complainant or the address. Did you understand that to be your plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense,
Yes, Judge.
state,
Yes, Your Honor.
did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in both places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
No, Judge.
Outside the agreement, the state is recommending your community supervision before a term of 8 years. There'll be 200 hours community service restitution, the BIPP course, TAP evaluation, and follow all recommendations. Did you understand those were recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then to
Your
the,
Honor,
yes,
I apologize for interrupting, but I just thought of another recommendation I think would be appropriate, and that's what I was willing to defense, given the stipulations. I think that make evaluation and recommendations would be critical.
And we have no objection, Judge.
And if you need me to print out a new sheet with that.
no, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Then to the offenses charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence?
Yes, Your Honor, I defense the represent the evidence, states exhibit 1 with all attachments.
No objection.
All right, and have you spoken with the complainant?
We have, Your Honor.
All right, state you may be excused. Did you review the waiver and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. Court will defer finding of guilt as you've applied for deferred adjudication. Are we proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Judge.
All right, so what happened? Is there do you have any prior mental health issues? What was going on?
No, ma'am, after I divorced in 2020, alcohol and substance abuse really got a hold of my life. Had a very bad night. My uncle was to be buried the next day. Next to my dad had passed away when I was 19. I took it really hard. I made some really regrettable decisions. And yeah, I've since been to alcohol and drug rehab, done intensive outpatient for 8 weeks after that for both mental health and substance abuse. And I continue that to this day.
And Judge, he, before all this happened, he was a college-educated marketing consultant for a large firm. He hopes to get back to where it used to be. I think that he's an excellent candidate for deferred adjudication probation. He's got a lot going for him. He's got family support, and hopefully we'll be here before this court in the future asking for early termination if he does come, which I think he will.
All right. Do you have any children?
No, ma'am.
State? Has he had any contact with the complainant since this?
None that the complainants relate to us. We spoke with her this morning. She didn't indicate any type of that behavior.
All right. Is she in fear of him?
Yes, to an extent, I would say, given the night, but I think she mainly was wanting, as I would assume he wants to be done with this.
All right. This is what the court is going to do. Thank you. There's a $1,500 fine that will be probated, 8 years deferred adjudication, regular reporting by Zoom or in person, proof of employment within 30 days, no employment as a home health care provider with minors, 200 hours of community service restitution. The BIPP course. Field visits 1 time per month until further notice. There's to be no contact with the complainant or the complainant's address. And is he currently on GPS or no?
I don't think so.
Were you ever placed on GPS?
Judge, I was gonna ask something. Long ago, we asked for permission for him to move to Longview.
Mhm.
So he's been living in Longview this whole time the case has been pending. I would just ask the court for permission for him to transfer his probation to Longview.
All right, there's a be a transfer to Longview. And as previously stated, the complainant, you're not to contact her by phone, you're not to go by to her house, you're not to send an apology letter, nothing. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and then there's a transfer to Longview. Probation and also a TAP evaluation. And MIC evaluation. Probation, is there anything else?
Judge, with the transfer, we're not gonna be able to do those films.
Okay. Is there anything else? Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful? All right. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we can go off the record. Before you get into any other relationships, you need to make sure you work on yourself. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
After reviewing the evidence and hearing from both the defense and the defendant himself, the court considers Wadil's background, including past substance abuse struggles, personal loss, and rehabilitation efforts. His attorney argues he is a strong candidate for deferred adjudication, citing stability and family support. Ultimately, the judge grants 8 years of deferred adjudication probation, along with strict conditions including community service, treatment requirements, employment verification, and a complete no-contact order with the complainant, balancing accountability with the opportunity for rehabilitation.